So if we look then at the big changes we've made in the last year, so we've gone from an old clinical system that you had, and we moved that to Clinico, and how has that been?
Well, that's been amazing, and a Clinico is so easy to apply, and it's so structured, and it tells me too much about the business. I can click a button and find out what I'm doing last week, and how much I earned and what I didn't, and how many people cancelled. Really, I find it really helpful to follow up on cancellations.
Yeah.
People before used to cancel, and to be honest, I never really followed up, never knew whether they were better, worse, the same, or whether they, what happened. Whereas this, with the flick of a button, who cancelled the last week, and I know who to follow up, and I know who not. It has given, and just the ease, and I really like even dealing with emailing receipts to people, emailing when people ask for receipts of the past. You can just, with the flick of a button, you can send it out.
Yeah, it's just the ease of use.
Ease of use, and honestly, if it's ease of use for me, I feel I need a ladybird system of computers. And to be honest, Clinico, I should be selling Clinico, shouldn't I? Clinico, certainly, it's very clear, it's very concise. I would fully recommend it as a system.
Yeah, highly recommend it. And then with Clinico, then we've also updated your website, or we've looked at that as well. Yes. And how did you find that process?
Well, thankfully, Emma, my assistant, did the actual physical work. So it was very streamlined. So I think the whole package of Clinico website, online booking, all that, it's also streamlined. I think that's
easy to do now, and it's easy to monitor.
Easy to do. Once the structure is set up, it's very easy to run.
And then, if we look, then Mary, you've 4 individual sites, and we sold 2 of them. How did you find the selling process itself?
Not easy from mainly from an emotional point of view, because I had built up the practice and enjoyed the challenge of taking up opportunities, but it was a journey. But you knew that the end goal was to reduce the workload and pressure on myself. So It was a let go. It's a certain amount of sadness, certain amount of trust in the system that it'll work. You have to get advice. And, you do feel a let go and a sadness that the practice at that particular area is no longer your responsibility, but you also feel a sense of relief. And it's going towards where I want to be. I want to have more free time.
And when you mentioned advice there, who were some of the key stakeholders that you had then, I suppose, as regards getting that advice?
Well, Colin really was one of the main people that helped put structure on the deal. Emma, my secretary, was amazing in negotiating that. And also I had a solicitor's advice as well, just to put the structure of the contracts and the timing, which I think that combination, and also my accountant I had advised as well as to how to structure it financially. But to be honest, they were kind of maybe one session with each of them. To them, selling a little bit of physio practice is nothing, but it was certainly enough for me to know that I was being advised legally and accountancy how to structure it for my best advantage.
And then to package it itself then?
Well, that's where Colin, that's where you came in.
Yeah.
You put the package together, and you even mediated the negotiation. I think that was the great help, Colin, is to have somebody to chairperson the negotiation with somebody.
Yeah, okay. And to go back and forth and not be, as you say, emotionally.
Yes, exactly.
Attached. Yeah.
Because exactly. It was great to have somebody that just saw it as it was, given an objective, practical viewpoint. And me, exactly, and take the emotion out of it for me, and my own sensitivity to things.
And what has the sale of the 2 clinics given you?
Well, practically, it has taken a lot of the stress of the work. I mean, the workload. the phone is quieter, the admin is easier. I'm not kind of responsible for two people working externally and wondering if they don't turn up today, well, I'll have to fill in. So mentally, it's a let go of more responsibility. It has reduced, has a lump sum hidden away that I can use in my retirement, and a little bit of a thank you, I suppose, to myself for creating it.
Do you feel guilty about that, Mary, sometimes?
Guilty.
I
feel sad that my
imposter
career
syndrome, maybe, or
pardon?
Imposter syndrome, that you don't deserve it.
Oh gosh, I do deserve it.
Right, great, okay.
Yeah, I feel flipping well. I worked hard. I no problem with deserving it.
Good.
But I feel sad that I suppose I've loved my career and I don't like letting it go. And thankfully, but you realize, there are other things, and you don't have the same energy as I had 10 years ago.
And
I love physio. I love my actual job. And I do have an entrepreneurial head that I miss the challenge of that. But having said that, it's a balance of having a challenge in your work, in developing work, and in your day-to-day living.
And what does the next 5 years look like?
It reduced. I mean, I have 1 day off a week now, and I would hope by next. And my hope is to take more actual time off. Maybe even take another day off. Maybe work 3 days a week. Get more into acupuncture because it's less physical, and get more into kind of psycho-emotional treatment. It's less physical. It gives me time to decide where I want to go. Like, gone are the physicality of treating hamstring and physical, and I have a hands-on physio, like gone are those days. But I can see myself going into other areas that I want to develop. Even maybe into gynae physio, something that I have never had time to develop.
Okay.
But that will keep me working for the next 3 to 5 years, or not. Please God, I will know in 2 or 3 years' time financially how I am.
You have the options. And if you were to say to a physio as experienced as yourself, and they're on the fence about what to do going forward, or whether they're not really sure how to potentially look at a exit strategy or that sort of stuff, what would your advice be?
This sounds very corny, Colin. It sounds like go to Colin Phillips and get. And am I getting commission on this, Colin?
Potentially.
No, go to somebody like yourself, Colin, to get advice, because you have the physio background, physio practice inside out, the computerization, have a fair idea of the accountancy and the solicitor opinion. It's the whole package, Colin, that you offer that I found very helpful.
Okay.
And I think that's what's crucial, because you can go to your accountant who will tell you, don't bother doing anything, aren't you doing fine, anything. You go to a solicitor and you say, what are you drawing that on for, because parts of physio were so small and insignificant in their business world, I don't think they fully understand us. Your accountant will tell you you're daft to do it. Your solicitor will say, you're taking on too much of a risk, and you're left between. Whereas I think as a physio, I needed, and a bit for my physio business head, I needed someone that knew the business backwards to advise me.
What held you back initially from getting that? Like, was it you were just so busy that you didn't have time?
Yeah, just too busy. It was COVID gave me time, Colin.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was COVID gave me time. Up to then, I was just too busy.
Yeah, and if COVID didn't come,
yeah, I probably would still be on the rat race.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I probably
so
would be.
Every cloud.
Yeah, I think COVID, and it was. Remember, you did a 6-week thing in COVID.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know you.
Yeah.
And for my €60 or something, whatever I paid, I can't remember. Maybe,
Yeah, I think it was 100. It wasn't.
Maybe 100 €. Yeah, for 6 sessions or something.
Yeah.
That it was. From listening to you, as I said, I knew I broke every rule that you were saying, what I was doing, and I began to have time to think, where am I going? and I put up my fees, and I suppose I was bought into the idea, you know, what you always say, you know, work less and get paid more.
Yeah. Well, as you said yourself there, you did deserve it, but sometimes you deserve it, but we don't put the structures in place to ensure we get it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Mary, look, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for taking the call, and the
Thank you.
best of luck with everything going forward.
Exactly. Okay. No problem.